You know that sinking feeling in your gut when something doesn't add up? That's exactly what hit me the day I logged into my savings account. I had been setting money aside for years: birthdays, part-time jobs in high school, summer internships in college. Every dollar I earned, I tucked away carefully because my parents always said, "Be responsible, think of your future." And I did. I wasn't flashy like my younger brother, Dylan. He always had the newest sneakers, the newest phone, nights out with friends he couldn't afford. I figured mom and dad must have been helping him more than they admitted, but I didn't ask questions. I thought if I stayed out of the spotlight, worked hard, and built my own safety net, I'd eventually step into adulthood ahead of the chaos. That illusion cracked the morning I went online to transfer money for a deposit on my first apartment. I had been waiting for this moment for years. My own place, no more fighting over bathroom schedules, no more Dylan blasting music at 2 a.m. I clicked View Balance and froze. The number on the screen didn't make sense. It wasn't just lower than I expected. It was almost empty. I refreshed the page, checked again, tried a different browser. But no, the money I'd worked for since I was 15 was gone. At first, I thought maybe it was fraud. Maybe someone had stolen my card information. My hands shook as I scrolled through the transactions. Then my stomach dropped even further. The withdrawals weren't random charges from some stranger across the world. They were transfers. Repeated, steady transfers, from my savings account to an account I recognized. My parents. I felt my chest tighten. My throat went dry. Why would they move my money? I called the bank in a panic, hoping it was some mistake. The woman on the other end sounded calm, almost cheerful. Yes, those transfers were authorized. Joint account holders have full access. Joint account. I repeated, confused. Yes, she said. Your parents' names are on this account. They've been making withdrawals for the past year. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. My parents, the same people who preached responsibility, who praised me for saving, who always told me I was the mature one, had been quietly bleeding my savings dry behind my back. And when I checked what the money had been used for, it became painfully clear. Payments to luxury clothing stores, hotel stays, car rental services, even a down payment on a used car, the exact car Dylan had proudly shown off just a few months earlier, claiming he got a great deal. The truth slammed into me so hard I couldn't breathe. My parents had stolen my savings to spoil my brother. I slammed my laptop shut and sat in silence, heart racing, hands trembling. My future apartment was gone. My savings, gone. And the trust one thought I had in my own family? Shattered. That night, I decided I wasn't going to let it slide. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the numbers from my drained account burning into my brain. I kept replaying every conversation I'd ever had with my parents about money. We're just keeping it safe for you. You can always trust us. Your brother needs more help, you're stronger than he is. At 7 a.m., with my eyes bloodshot and my jaw tight, I drove straight to my parents' house. The front door was unlocked like always. I walked in and found Mom in the kitchen, humming as she stirred her coffee. Dad was at the table, scrolling through his phone like it was any other ordinary morning. "Where's Dylan?" I asked, my voice low. Mom looked up, startled. "Still asleep." "Why?" I didn't bother answering. I dropped into the chair across from Dad and pulled my laptop out of my bag. My hands were shaking as I spun it around to face them. "Care to explain this?" They both leaned forward. On the screen was the transaction history, every withdrawal, every transfer, neatly lined up in black and white. My dad's jaw clenched. Mom's face flushed. "Sweetheart, it's not what it looks like," she started, but I cut her off. "It looks like you stole every cent I saved since high school. So tell me, what is it supposed to look like?" Dad sighed, setting his phone down. "Listen, you've always been responsible. You've got a steady job, a good head on your shoulders. Dylan," he trailed off, exchanging a look with Mom. "Dylan struggles. He needed help, and as a family, we help each other." "By draining my account?" My voice cracked, sharp enough that Mom flinched. That money was supposed to be for my apartment, my future. Not his sneakers, not his car, not his vacations. Mom reached across the table like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "Honey, you don't understand. Dylan just needs a leg up. You'll be fine. You're always fine." I yanked my laptop back and snapped it shut. "No, I'm not fine. You didn't just take money, you took my trust. You lied to me." That's when Dylan shuffled into the kitchen, hair a mess, still half asleep. He grabbed a cereal box from the counter and frowned at the tension in the air. "What's going on?" he asked, pouring flakes into a bowl. I turned to him, my chest heaving. "What's going on is you're driving around in my car with my money, while Mom and Dad act like I don't matter." He froze, spoon in hand, then smirked. "Oh, come on. Don't be dramatic. It's just money. You'll make more." Something inside me snapped. My hands curled into fists. All the years of being the responsible one, the invisible one, the one expected to give without asking, it all boiled over in that moment. I stood up so fast my chair screeched against the tile. "You think this is a joke? You stole years of my work, my future, and you expect me to just smile and take it?" For once, Dylan didn't have a comeback. He just stared at me, his smirk faltering, as the silence in the kitchen grew heavier by the second. And I realized, this was only the beginning of a battle I never thought I'd have to fight, not against strangers, but against my own family. The silence stretched so long, I could hear the tick of the kitchen clock. Then Dad finally spoke, his voice calm but sharp, like a blade wrapped in cotton. "Sit down," he said. "We don't need to turn this into a scene." I stared at him in disbelief. "A scene? You emptied my savings and handed it to Dylan like an allowance. You think I'm supposed to just sit down and sip coffee like nothing happened?" Mom's voice trembled as she tried to smooth it over. "We didn't steal from you, sweetheart. The account was in our names too. Technically. I cut her off, my pulse pounding in my ears. "Technically, I worked 2 jobs in college to put that money away. Technically, I skipped vacations, dinners, and nights out while Dylan was blowing cash he didn't have. That money was mine. You knew it." Dylan rolled his eyes and shoved a spoonful of cereal into his mouth. "Seriously, man, you're overreacting. You've always been the responsible one. You'll bounce back in no time. I, on the other hand, actually needed it." I laughed. Bitter, cold. Needed it? For what? Designer sneakers? A car you can't maintain? Nights at clubs? He shrugged, chewing loudly. "It's called living a little." My hands shook so badly, I had to grip the back of the chair to steady myself. Mom reached across the table again, her tone turning syrupy, the way it always did when she wanted me to fold. "Think of it as helping your brother find his footing. You're stronger, more capable. It's only fair we even things out a little. Family supports each other." Her words landed like acid. Family supports each other? I had been supporting this family for years. Covering bills. Fixing things around the house. Showing up every time they called. And now, when it was finally my turn to build something for myself, they decided my work didn't belong to me. Dad leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, like the verdict was final. What's done is done. Complaining won't change it. Move on. Something hot and electric surged through me. I had spent my entire life being the quiet one, the mature one. But in that moment, I wasn't quiet. I wasn't calm. You've taken advantage of me my whole life, I said, my voice low but shaking with rage. And I let it slide because I thought one day, you'd see me as more than just a wallet or a backup plan. But this. I jabbed a finger toward Dylan, who had suddenly stopped chewing. This is the last straw. Dad narrowed his eyes. Careful how you talk to us. I grabbed my laptop and my keys, my chest heaving. No. You should be careful. Because I'm done being your safety net. And with that, I walked out, slamming the door behind me so hard the walls rattled. But as I sat in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, I knew the fight wasn't over. They weren't going to let me go that easily. I sat in the car outside their house, staring at the familiar driveway. I'd parked there hundreds of times before, but that morning it felt foreign, hostile, like enemy territory. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. Mom, come back inside, let's talk this out calmly. Dad, this isn't how family behaves. We raised you better than this. I let the screen go dark, my jaw tight. 10 minutes later, it buzzed again. Mom, honey, please. We didn't do this to hurt you. Dylan just needs help right now. Dad, don't embarrass us by making this a bigger deal than it is. I almost laughed. Embarrass them? They had drained my savings and somehow I was the one causing shame? By noon, the messages had turned sharper. Dad, you're being selfish. Money comes and goes, but family is forever. Mom, if you walk away from us over this, you'll regret it. I wanted to throw the phone out the window. Instead, I drove home and collapsed on my couch, staring at the ceiling. My chest ached with a mix of anger and something worse, betrayal that burned so deep it felt physical. Around 5 p.m., the calls started. First Mom, then Dad, then both at once. I silenced them, but they didn't stop. By the 10th call, I picked up. Mom's voice was sharp now, no longer soft and syrupy. You're blowing this out of proportion. It's just money. Dylan's your brother. Can't you be happy for him? Happy? My voice cracked. You stole years of my work to pamper him like a prince, and you expect me to smile about it? You're twisting this, she snapped. We've always treated you both fairly. You've always had opportunities Dylan didn't. I nearly choked. Fairly? You call taking everything I saved fair? You didn't even ask me. You didn't give me a choice. Dad's voice cut in, firm and cold. That's enough. You'll make yourself sick holding on to this bitterness. Be grateful you even had money to save in the first place. Dylan never had that chance. I gripped the phone so tightly my knuckles went white. He never had the chance. He never made the effort. You gave him everything and left me with nothing but responsibility. There was silence on the other end. I heard Dylan's voice faintly in the background, cocky as ever. Just tell him to chill. He'll get over it. That was the moment something inside me hardened. For the first time in my life, I realized they weren't going to apologize. They weren't going to make this right. They expected me to swallow it. Again. But I wasn't going to. I hung up without another word. And that silence, my silence, was louder than anything I'd ever said before. 2 days passed in tense silence. I ignored every call, every guilt-laced text. For the first time in my life, I refused to rush in and fix things. Then, on the third night, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Dylan leaning against the frame, grinning like he owned the place. He was dressed head to toe in expensive clothes I knew he hadn't paid for, car keys dangling from his fingers. My car, bought with my money. "Man, you've really lost it," he said casually, brushing past me like he lived there. "Mom's freaking out, Dad's pissed, and you're what? Having a tantrum because you couldn't handle helping out a little." I closed the door behind him, my chest already tightening. Helping out. Dylan, they drained everything I had. That wasn't theirs to give you. He flopped onto my couch, kicking his shoes up on the table. "Dude, relax. You'll make it back in no time. You've always been the responsible one." "Me? I need a boost. You should be glad they're investing in me. Think of it as a family project." My jaw clenched. "A family project? You've turned my future into your allowance. And you're not even sorry." He shrugged, smirking. "Why would I be sorry? It's not like you're starving. You've still got a job, an apartment. You'll be fine. Besides," he twirled the car keys between his fingers. "This car? Game changer. I finally feel like I'm on top of things." I stared at him, heat crawling up my neck. "You're proud of stealing from me?" "Stealing?" He laughed, shaking his head. "It's family money. Mom and Dad said it's all shared. Don't be so possessive." I stepped closer, my voice dropping. "That was my savings. My work. My sacrifice. Not yours, not theirs. Mine." For the first time, Dylan's smirk faltered. But only for a second. He leaned back and folded his arms, cocky as ever. "You sound just like Mom said, sensitive. Always making everything a big deal. No wonder they trust me with more. I know how to enjoy life." Something snapped inside me. Years of being dismissed, overlooked, brushed aside like I didn't matter, it all boiled up at once. I didn't shout. I didn't explode. Instead, I said something I had never dared to say before. "You're not just reckless, Dylan. You're selfish. And the worst part? They let you be. But I won't anymore." His grin vanished. The air in the room shifted, heavy and sharp. And I realized he wasn't here to apologize. He was here to gloat. To rub salt into the wound. But I wasn't the same brother he thought I was. Dylan leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, eyes glittering with that smug confidence he'd carried his whole life. "You won't what?" he taunted. "Cut me off? Please. You're not built like that. You've always been the dependable one. You'll cave. You always do." I stared at him, and for the first time, I didn't feel small under his words. I felt done. "You're right about one thing," I said slowly. "I've always been dependable. I kept this family afloat while you played the golden child. But not anymore. From this day forward, you get nothing from me. No money. No help. No safety net." His smirk cracked. "You can't just abandon your family." I stepped closer, lowering my voice so he had no choice but to hear every word. "I didn't abandon anyone. They abandoned me the moment they decided your comfort mattered more than my future." The silence that followed was heavy, sharp enough to cut. Dylan scoffed and stood up, trying to regain his swagger. "Fine, he said, pocketing the keys. But when Mom and Dad need something, and you're too stubborn to help, don't come crying when you're the one on the outside. They'll never forgive you for this. I opened the door wide. Then I guess I'll know where I stand. He glared at me for a beat, then stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I stood there for a long time, my hand still on the doorknob, chest heaving. For the first time, I had set a boundary, and it felt both terrifying and liberating. But the war was far from over. Because the next morning, I woke up to a barrage of messages from my parents. Mom, how could you speak to your brother that way? He's been through enough. Dad, we didn't raise you to be so cold. You're tearing this family apart. Mom, if you don't apologize, don't bother coming to Sunday dinner. I read every word, my hands steady for once. I had spent years bending under their guilt trips, but now, their words only confirmed one thing. They had chosen Dylan. And if they wanted him so badly, they could keep him. I was done. By Sunday, I hadn't replied to a single message. My phone buzzed non-stop, but I left it face down on the counter. For once in my life, I was choosing silence over compliance. That afternoon, a knock rattled my apartment door. A sharp, impatient knock. I already knew who it was. I opened the door to find my parents standing there, side by side. Mom's face was tight, her smile forced. Dad's arms were crossed, his jaw set like stone. They didn't even wait for me to invite them in. They brushed past me and planted themselves in my living room. We need to talk, Dad said flatly. I leaned against the doorframe, arms folded. About what? The money you stole? The years you dismissed me? Or the fact that you expect me to clean up your mess every time Dylan screws up? Mom winced at the word stole. Don't say it like that, she pleaded. We didn't steal from you. It was a family decision. A family decision, I repeated, my voice dripping with disbelief. Funny, I don't remember being part of that decision. Dad's eyes narrowed. Watch your tone. We've done everything for you. Roof over your head, food on the table, education. I snapped. And I paid you back 100 times over. Who helped with your mortgage when ours got cut? Who fixed the car when it broke down? Who put off moving out just so you could catch up on bills? Don't rewrite history, Dad. I carried this family while Dylan coasted. Mom's voice cracked, desperate now. You're overreacting. Dylan just needs time to find himself. He's trying. I laughed bitterly. He's not trying. He's leeching. And you let him, because it's easier to sacrifice me than tell him the truth. For a moment, the room was dead silent. Then Dad's voice boomed, low and furious. Enough. You don't get to lecture us in our own family. We know what's best. I stepped closer, my heart pounding but my words steady. No. You know what's easiest. And the easiest path has always been to bleed me dry while pretending Dylan is the future. But let me make this clear. I pointed toward the door. If you're here to guilt me, to demand more, to tell me I owe him, then leave. Because I am done being your safety net. Mom's eyes filled with tears. If you walk away, you'll regret it. Families don't turn their backs on each other. I felt something inside me snap into place, not anger this time, but clarity. You turned your backs on me the moment you chose Dylan's wants over my needs. Don't twist it. The silence that followed was deafening. Dad's face darkened, Mom's tears slipped down her cheeks, but I didn't flinch. Finally, Dad stood. You'll regret this, he said, his voice ice cold. Maybe, I replied. But at least it'll be my regret, not yours. They left without another word, the slam of my door echoing through the apartment like thunder. And for the first time in years, I felt something close to freedom. Heavy, painful, but real. The next week was eerily quiet. My parents had gone radio silent after storming out of my apartment, but I knew it wasn't over. With them, it never was. Then Dylan made his move. I found out through social media. A friend from work pulled me aside during lunch, phone in hand, saying, is this your brother? There he was, front and center on Instagram, grinning in front of my car, holding a champagne bottle like a trophy. The caption read, "Big things coming. Hard work pays off, winking face." I almost laughed at the irony. Hard work. He had never worked a day for what he was flaunting. My blood boiled as I scrolled through the photos. Expensive dinners, designer clothes, weekend trips. Every post dripping with smug pride, every like and comment feeding his ego. And then I saw it, a tagged post from my mother. A family dinner. Dylan at the head of the table, laughing, while mom and dad beamed at him like he was their crown jewel. The same table where my seat used to be. The caption. "So proud of our Dylan. He's finally finding his way." My chest tightened, but not from surprise, from confirmation. They hadn't just taken my savings. They had rewritten the story, painting Dylan as the hero who earned it all, while erasing me completely. That evening, Dylan decided to take it one step further. My phone buzzed with a message from him. "Dylan, hope you're not too salty. Mom says you'll come around eventually. Until then, thanks for the car, bro. I'll take good care of it." I stared at the screen, my teeth grinding. Every word was designed to provoke me, to rub my loss in my face. For a long time, I didn't reply. But then, with my hands shaking, I typed one sentence back. "Me. Enjoy it while it lasts." I hit send, set the phone down, and let the silence hang heavy between us. Because for the first time, I wasn't the one scrambling to fix things. But deep down, I knew Dylan wasn't going to stop until he tried to break me completely. And I was ready for him. The breaking point came a week later. One of my coworkers invited me to a mutual friend's birthday dinner at a downtown restaurant. I almost didn't go. My head was too full, my chest still raw. But something inside me whispered I needed to show up, to remind myself I still had a life outside of my family's chaos. The night started fine. Good food, laughter, the kind of easy company I hadn't felt in months. For a while, I almost forgot about Dylan. Until he walked in. I froze as I saw him swagger through the doors, my car keys dangling from his finger like a badge of honor. He wasn't even invited. He was tagging along with someone else, all charm and loud energy, the way he always bulldozed into spaces that didn't belong to him. And of course, he spotted me instantly. "Well, well, well," Dylan called across the room, loud enough for everyone to hear. "If it isn't the family accountant. Hey, thanks again for the car, man. She's running smooth." A ripple of laughter spread through the tables. Awkward, uneasy, but still laughter. My face burned. I clenched my jaw, trying to stay calm, but Dylan wasn't done. He strolled over, pulling out a chair beside me without asking, and leaned in with a grin. "You should have seen the look on Mom's face when I drove up last night. She said she's never been prouder. Guess saving really does pay off, for me, at least." The table went quiet. Everyone could feel the venom under his words, even if they didn't know the story. Something inside me snapped. I stood, pushing my chair back slowly. My voice was calm, but it carried. "You're right, Dylan. Saving does pay off. But only if you actually earn it. Because the truth is, I turned to the table, to everyone watching. Every cent he's flashing around? It isn't his. It's mine. Years of my work, stolen by my own family so he could play king. The air shifted. Some jaws dropped. Dylan's smirk twitched, but he forced a laugh. Come on, don't be dramatic. But I didn't let him finish. No. Not this time. You want the spotlight? Then own the truth. You're not successful. You're a thief dressed up in money that was never yours. The silence that followed was deafening. Dylan's face darkened, his charm cracking like thin glass. He muttered something under his breath, grabbed his jacket, and stormed out, all eyes following him. I sat back down, my hands still shaking, but for once, it wasn't from shame. It was from release. Because I had finally said out loud what I'd been swallowing for years. And the look on Dylan's face told me the truth had cut deeper than any insult he could throw back. After that dinner, everything changed. Not overnight, not with fireworks, but in the quiet, steady way truth rearranges things. The next morning, my phone blew up again. Dozens of missed calls and texts, mostly from my parents. Mom, how dare you humiliate your brother like that in public? Dad, air our family business again, and you're no son of mine. For once, their threats didn't scare me. They sounded empty. Like words they'd used so many times, they had lost their weight. I didn't reply. Instead, I focused on myself. I met with the bank, closed every joint account, and set up everything under my name only. I cut off the last strings they could pull. Dylan tried one last time. He showed up outside my building, shouting up from the parking lot like some desperate showman. Come on, man. You can't seriously cut us off. We're family. I leaned over the railing and looked down at him. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't treat one son like a piggy bank and the other like a prince. My voice didn't shake this time. You made your choices. Now live with them. He cursed under his breath, kicked the side of his car, my car, and drove off. That was the last time I saw him. Weeks turned into months. My parents stopped calling. The silence that once terrified me became a strange kind of peace. I still missed the idea of family, the version I thought I had, but I didn't miss the constant weight of being used. One evening, as I unpacked boxes in my new apartment, smaller than I'd planned, but mine, I found an old photo album. Inside was a picture of me at 15, standing proudly beside the first paycheck I ever deposited. Back then, I believed saving meant security. That responsibility would earn me respect. Now I knew better. It wasn't the money that mattered. It was the boundary. The choice to stop letting people take from me without giving anything back. I closed the album and set it aside. For the first time in years, I felt light. Because sometimes the hardest thing you can do isn't walking away from strangers. It's walking away from family. And choosing yourself anyway.